This episode is brought to you by Wisconsin Cheese. Wisconsin, the state of cheese, makes half of the nation's specialty cheese and wins more awards than any other state or country. Our heritage and traditions, master cheesemaker program, and the American propensity for innovation all put Wisconsin on the cutting wedge of cheesemaking. With over 600 varieties of cheese to choose from and 5,500 national and international awards and counting, get ready to turn your refrigerator into a trophy case. Enjoying a Wisconsin cheese is basically like winning a gold medal in culinary achievement. Set your mind at cheese. When you bite into a wedge of Wisconsin Wonderful, you know it is made with the ultimate skill and passion possible. Find your next favorite cheese at wisconsincheese.com.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Hey, welcome to Beer Sessions Radio on Heritage Radio Network. I'm Jimmy Carboni. It's Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. It's actually in New York City as we're recording. It is New York City Beer Week. But we're going to go out to Colorado, and we're talking with a brewery and a hop company. And we're going to talk about Hoppy Dreams because I'm feeling, spring's almost here. By the time you get this show, it'll almost be spring. And I'm ready to talk about hoppy beers again. So let's go around the room. We'll have Jerry and James introduce themselves. Start with Jerry.
Hello, all. Howdy. Thanks for having us on, Jimmy. Jerry Siote. I'm one of the owners and director of Brewing Operations at Lone Tree Brewing Company.
And James?
How's it going, guys? I'm James Zarzour. I'm the South Regional Sales Manager with Yakima Chief Hops based out of Austin, Texas, where weather is finally turned.
All right. So, Colorado is a special place for good beers. And I'm lucky I get to go out every March. I'm there for the Bowl of Soul Festival in Denver. Jerry, just tell us a little bit about the backstory on Lone Tree for our listeners. I know I was lucky I had you on in 2022, you and Kyle from Resolute. And that was a pretty great introduction.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, Lone Tree's been around since 2011, so we're moving in kind of late 2011. So we're moving into our 14th year of operation, and we recently acquired another small craft brewery that last year in March of 2024. So we operate our main facility here in Lone Tree. We have a 20-barrel brew house and do almost all of the production out of here. For distribution, and then we're using the new brewery, the 7-barrel brewery out in Parker, to kind of do some experimental testing, some new recipe development. But 14 years feels like it flew by. COVID certainly challenged us, still challenging us. Different cost environment for sure, but we've been part of this community here in Lone Tree and now in Parker for quite some time. I still see a lot of the same faces. I've been here for about 11 years. I wasn't here in the beginning with John Winter. He's our main president and CEO, but I came in about a year and a half after it opened. So strong core of regulars, community-based. We just try to make the best beers consistently as possible. Focus quite a bit on lagers. We did very well with our Mexican lager over the years, and just trying to be really balanced. And I think that's a lot of why we're talking here today, trying to get back, sharpen our pencils on the hoppy stuff, and make sure we just pay attention to all the beers and just try to improve and make everything better for people of Lone Tree and Parker. So that's where we've been. That's where we're trying to go.
Well, it's great having you back on the show. And, it's great to have hop suppliers on, with the brewer. So, James, tell us a little more about you and Yakima Chief.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, with Yakima Chief, we are a 100% grower-owned co-op based out of Yakima, Washington. Yeah, our whole goal is to connect family farms to brewers across the world. So owned and operated by 15 family farms throughout the states of Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. And yeah, service the whole market everywhere across the world. So we've got warehouses located in Pacific Northwest of the U.S., up in Montreal, Canada, out in Belgium, and some down there in Asia as well. So, we're really just here to share the good word of American grown hops, and we're lucky enough to be a part of hop breeding companies through our sister company of Yakima Chief Ranches. So, have the privilege of being able to sell Citra, Mosaic, all those great HBCs throughout the years, and of course, our baby, which is Simcoe, which is YCR 14, so a traditional Yakima Chief Ranch bred variety. I myself am one of our regional sales managers. So I live down in Austin, Texas, as I mentioned, cover Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. So have the pleasure to head up to Colorado, drink some great beers, really see a large swath of the U.S. and really have a 5,000-foot look, at least if I'm in Denver looking down what's going on in the beer world. So that's, a little bit about me.
If this show to me is called Hoppy Dreams, Jerry, on your end as a brewer, with all the different numbers and names for hops, are you ever fully caught up? I mean, and how long did it really take you to come up to speed uh, as a brewer and with the different hops available? Let's go back to when you started at Lone Tree.
Yeah, I think we've definitely seen different shifts, in consumer tastes and preferences. And, you know, I I got into craft brewing because of the more hop forward beers that I was, trying in college, and what ultimately led me into the industry. And, we've seen since I've started here in, 2014, I think back in the day, breweries, craft breweries in particular, could you can kind of get away with, just kind of dipping a toe into certain styles. And, things were pretty easy back then. And, the way we were approaching the hoppier styles, was just to kind of mimic what people were doing out there as well. I mean, craft brewing is a lot about, taking pages out of each other's books and trying to improve upon it, which is great, keeps us sharp. And, back in the day, you were seeing a lot of bitterness, a lot of high IBU type of perceived, character in a lot of these beers. And I think James can speak to this as well, along with a lot of the new advanced products that not only, YCH is coming out with, but a lot of other suppliers, to try to get a more rounded, full, hop saturated flavor and aroma that is shelf stable, that, allows the brewers to control hop creep and diacetyl formation, which is always, in any dry hop beer, hop forward beers, it's always going to be an issue that we have to contend with and monitor. So, yeah, things have changed. I think the hazy IPA revolution really changed the way our industry works and has worked for 10 years. And I think, the flip side of that is it may have led, or in my opinion, led to a little bit of stagnation on not just West Coast IPAs or pale ales, but the gamut of how we use hops in all styles. And so this is a I mean, this is the last frontier, in my opinion, is the hop world, and there's so much we still don't know about them. So I feel very privileged to work with people like James and YCH, to get hops from all over the world. But we do a pretty damn good job of growing hops here in the U.S. So yeah, we're constantly learning how do we make the IPAs better, and it's kind of been a passion project of mine since I've started here, to improve the hop forward beers. I think that's where that was kind of our golden goose in this industry, and what propelled us into really, a lot of success early on. And I don't want to forget that. I don't want to be complacent about that. So it's a learning process every day, and we just try to get better.
Yeah, and James, For you, your side of things, how do you keep up with all the different hops you have and educate and interact with all the brewers you serve?
Yeah, honestly, it can be a challenge. There's always new varieties in the pipeline, whether that be through the HBC breeding program, independent farm breeding, great breeders like indie hops, or what CLS is working on, and everyone really out there. It's definitely a challenge. Really, what it comes down to is doing your best to both rub the hops, in bale cores and get an understanding of where they are. Once kilns, getting a chance when I'm able to rub the hops on the vine, truly see where they're at. But a lot of it, and truly the best way to stay on top of the hops that are available, the hops that brewers are using, is ultimately to consume beers and drink beers with them, and lean into the talents and skill of brewers across the US and across the world, because ultimately it's what matters is how this ingredient and this crop showcase itself within beer. So honestly, a lot of it's just trying to stay abreast of different combinations that people are using, different temperatures, water chemistry, addition times, whatever it may be that people are adding these hops in, and really getting a full sense of the potential of these varieties. And then ultimately it's just categorizing those away, and hopefully having the answers available for brewers like Jerry when they ask for them.
Well, let's dive into the beer that I tried in the fall, which is what brought us together, the Centennial Hat Trick IPA. Jerry, talk about how that beer came about, because I got a fresh can in the mail and I drank it, and it made me want to come out to Colorado.
Yeah, that's great. That was the goal. Yeah, you know, like I said, part of craft brewing is kind of recognizing where you've been and where it's going, and trying to bridge those two universes together. And the Centennial hop to us used to be a very predominant hop in a lot of our hop forward beers, our double IPA, our single IPA, a lot of pale ales that we would do throughout the year. And I think there's so many farmers doing so many great things with new hops and new varieties and experimental and the breeding programs, but I didn't want us to forget what got us here, and the Centennial hop was one of those for us. And so, a lot of people don't get the chance to try, or brewers sometimes get too busy and or don't prioritize making single hop beers, whether it's in the form of a pale or an IPA, what have you. So with the Centennial, I really wanted to showcase in a couple different formats, um, just how bright and floral and lemony this particular variety and this crop that we have could really be. So in this beer, we decided to use traditional T90 pellets. We also use the cryo version of this for kind of late kettle edition and dry hop, as well as the new product Hyper Boost that James can kind of go into, which is an emulsified water miscible hop oil that can be used to augment a dry hop post fermentation. So we have the same hop, kind of just done three different ways. So thus in lies the name Hat Trick. We have kind of a three-way going on right here. So that's how it came about, and I think we put it in a nice 5 SRM grain bill that really lets the hops do the talking. And we thought it turned out great. I think we'll be making more of it soon.
That was pretty great. What is the Hyper Boost? I saw that on your site, and I'm still going back to early stories of hops. I know Yakima and that region has a long history, and the old history of New York State hops was really the 19th century. So just about 15 years ago, people in New York were just learning how to grow hops again. But you guys seem like you're pretty far ahead of that, aren't you?
Yeah, I think we definitely are. It was as folks came over to the Yakima Valley, and ultimately also a lot of growth early in the early days in Northern California, of course the Willamette Valley and Treasure in Oregon, and Treasure Valley and Idaho. There's a lot of great growing regions out there, just naturally with very dry weather, right? Plenty of irrigation and really just ideal hop growing. So we're definitely lucky up there in the Pacific Northwest to have some ideal growing conditions. But yeah, to answer your question, I mean, ultimately, Hyperboost was it's our answer or one of our answers to a question that we consistently receive, which is how can we have a liquid hop product that can be used as a dry hop replacement? And Jerry, just quick little correction there with you. It's actually one of the unique things with Hyperboost is it's actually not emulsified.
Oh, that's right.
We have some emulsified products, and there's a lot of great emulsified products out there in the market, but with Hyperboost in particular, it was a lot of R&D, basically creating a hop extract that on average is about 50% hop oil, still contains alpha and beta acids, but is strictly designed to replicate, what you see when you hop with T90 or cryo pellets in beer. Ultimately, dry hopping, especially with these big heavily hopped beers. I mean, Jerry, you mentioned like the hazy trend and really how that kind of pivoted hopping techniques and quantities. But, when brewers are sitting there and they're adding, 5-6 pounds per barrel into some of these dry hops, that's a lot of plant material and can be a lot of ultimate, product that's unable to be pulled out and added into beer. So ultimately, with yield savings in mind, that's a common question that we had. So yeah, basically to summarize, Hyperboost is an advanced hop oil product that's designed to be a dry hop replacement.
Jerry, when you worked on the recipe for the Centennial Hat Trick IPA, how closely did you work with the Yakima chief rep?
Oh yeah, James has been very helpful. I mean, this is kind of the first year we've used Hyperboost because James, I think this came out. When did you guys first roll out Hyperboost?
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah. So I mean,
So
as soon as as soon as it was publicized and ready for release, I think I, kind of reached out to James and ordered a couple trials to get us going, and one was Centennial, one was Simcoe. So we'll likely do this similar method of kind of a three-way hop presentation in a Simcoe variety as well, which I think will be great. But yeah, as soon as it was available, I think we reached out and said, yes, for all the reasons James touched on, increase in yield, kind of a nice replacement to remove a lot of that, green material that can act like a sponge, kind of help loss, and just try to see how we viewed it over, a sustained period, over a 3 to 6 month period, and how that's held up in the can, because shelf life's important to all breweries, packaging breweries, and how just dry hop tends to run away from you in a very short amount of time. So this also adds to that, and so far we're really pleased with the results. It's we brewed about 80 barrels for the market, so we're not the biggest brewery in the U.S. by far. So 80 barrels was kind of a lot for us to get out there in an IPA format. So it's held up really well. I'm really happy with the results, and even hop creep, I think, has been mitigated somewhat, as well as pH rise when you dry hop with 3 to 4 pounds per barrel and just the dry hop. You can increase pH and decrease shelf stability a little bit, and drinkability, in my opinion.
Yeah. One thing when you brew with hops, Jerry, like this, what are like some key moments in it? I mean, you kind of explained it with how the Hyperboost has some, added value to you. But just to talk our listeners through, key moments in making that beer, different steps in terms of the hops addition and everything you're doing with it. It's like a 101 of
Sure.
hopping a beer.
Yeah, no, taking a step back, I, like I was explaining in the beginning, I think over the last 10 plus years, we've become a little complacent on, the world of hops and really haven't fully appreciated all the hard work that goes into growing and being a part of a co-op and supplying, 30, 40 million pounds of hops throughout the world for brewers. And we were lucky enough, I was able to take a couple of the brewers to Yakima Chief's hop school that they had in August of last year into the Yakima Valley. And we got got to do a lot of farm tours, toured the facilities. It was right on the tip of harvest time, and they weren't bringing in a ton of the fields just yet. But that, just being around that and seeing it firsthand and walking the fields gives you a new appreciation for what we're really dealing with, and all the wonderful technologies and varieties that we have available to us. So that to me kind of reinvigorated me, and then I've tried to instill that in all of our brewery employees to really recognize and be aware of where these things come from and how hard it is to maintain the quality year after year, which a lot of these farms are so great at right now. But the 101 of how we hop, I mean, back in the day, like I was mentioning, bitterness was kind of a trophy that you could parade around how bitter an IPA was. I don't think that's really the case anymore, and I think the hazy IPA kind of shifted the focus and the attention to what I would call late kettle additions or no kettle additions, active fermentation, dry hopping, biotransformation, oils. Yeah, I think we've shifted the scale from early bitterness to late flavor and aroma that lasts, that's shelf stable, that hangs around a while, and you can still smell it even when the glass is empty. So that's kind of the larger trend that I've seen in how we approach that. But I think water chemistry is really huge in this as well. Beer's a pretty simple product, but it's so complex in each one of its elements that you could spend a lifetime making the same beer over and over and still get different results, just tweaking little things here and there. But I would say the main focus in how we hop, try to incorporate small amount of bittering additions to keep things drinkable, but then really saturate these hop forward beers, these pales, these IPAs with that late addition, kettle additions, as well as biotransformation, for active fermentation, dry hopping, and oil products, advanced products, post fermentation.
Yeah, and Jerry, in the scale you're brewing at, are there any steps along the way where you're actually tasting or smelling the beer, or is it all just based on observation, equipment, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, we, you know, beer has a life cycle, and especially during fermentation, yeast is another huge important thing that we could spend hours talking about, and um, how it reacts with certain hop varieties and bound thiols and hops. So, yeah, I mean, we're constantly monitoring every step of the process, from brew day and through all the way to packaging, just and not even that, I mean, going out, we need these beers to be shelf stable for 6 months plus. That's the real challenge, especially with any super dry hop beer. So yeah, I mean, we're touching these fermenters every day, not only to monitor, well, we're hitting our quality targets for alcohol, for IBUs, for color. So yeah, we're touching them quite a bit, and trying to keep the same beer, um, quality product, not only for our customers but for ourselves and what we want to do with them. It's a daily process. It's I've gone are the days of home brewing when you just throw it in the fermenter, pray for something great to happen, and uh, you know, move some oxidized beer into a keg or bottle, and then hope your buddies will drink it with you. So it's much more scientific, and I'm glad we have the hop companies and the growers to help us out with that.
Yeah, great. Hey, James, are you drinking a beer right now?
I am. I'm lucky. Jerry gifted me with some of the Centennial Hat Trick when I was up in Colorado. I guess that was January, end of
Hmm.
January. So got gifted me with some. I knew this was coming, so held on to a can here for today. So drinking drinking the product that we're talking about. Honestly, I mean, I think also Jerry, you made a great point. There's so much, development and so much of new varieties, but it is really important to also go back and think about the classics, especially there on that public, the public varieties and really the hops that helped get us here. It's important for us to showcase what those flavor profiles are, as well as just really show kind of what they can do. And frankly, that's one of those things. Jerry was kind enough to gift this to me and ask for some feedback. And I mean, one of the things I told him was, it is such a good example of what Centennial is as a hop. You get that bright lemon characteristic. You get a little bit of that, bowl of fruity pebbles there on the front end. You get that really pleasant floral finish, and honestly, the grain bill just lets it kind of shine. And at the 7% alcohol too, you get that nice balance. I mean, that's something that I've talked with a bunch of people where it's like, man, why are there so many great IPAs that live around that 7%? I think it's just the balance of kind of that, some of those bittering additions, give it that salty chip kind of characteristic of makes you want another sip every single time you take a sip, and then on top of that, it a little bit of that sweetness from the alcohol and the mouthfeel of the malt really just sings. So yeah, lucky enough. I'm trying not to put it down too quick because I only got the one left. So
I wanted to keep talking about the taste of this beer because I feel like dealing with consumers that if not every 5 years, definitely every 10 years, the industry has to take a step back and remember that there's a whole new generation of younger people coming up. I mean, I talk about it a lot now. My daughter's 22, and just to see what they're drinking, it's also how they're exposed to it, and um, the the words that you use, like when you talk about fruity pebbles and stuff, some of that stuff still to me just sounds so far out. It's almost like Jerry. How does your team describe this beer? If it's in the tap room, to me, it's like this was a great way to you know have a well balanced beer that I like. But I can't explain the taste to someone like who's 22 who actually has a good palate but just doesn't know beer.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. That was one of the cool things when we were at hop school in August of last year, to do a lot of sensory training and to kind of let your mind and your senses really take some time to figure out, what am I really tasting? And it takes a while to kind of get that olfactory, back up to speed and jog some memories of, yeah, when you were young or when you were first tasting beer for the first time. I mean, the first beer I ever had was probably a Keystone Light, back in the day, which is still a very good product and made very well. But the sweetness, I would say, is something that I remember. And beer should be about balance, and it's finding those descriptors and how you want something to taste before you even make it or drink it. What do you want to achieve with any recipe you're doing? I think you start there at the base level, and it's, do you want an IPA to be piney and resinous and smell like a forest, or do you want it to kind of taste like a Caribbean cocktail? I think those are the things that you want to start with, and you can really get all those flavors from hops. And so that's the beautiful part of it in the universe of flavors and aromas around hops is it's it can be whatever you want it to be. And uh I was lucky enough to do some judging for Alpha King the past couple of years. The Yakima Yakima Chief Ranch has put on, and James and I tried a lot of great beers. And it's funny how one descriptor that one brewer uses is completely different than another descriptor. And somebody might get, floral notes, somebody might get diesel notes, somebody might get, you know, toasted hay. So we have to really try to figure out what we're all, you know, we're all drinking the same thing or we're all smelling the same thing, but the brain can interpret it very differently.
Yeah, and also, but also the words you're using too. You know,
Exactly.
James, more about that, the sensory training, because it's really important, I'm sure, for working with your brewers.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, a lot of it, I think, is one, it's understanding what everyone is sensitive to. What do they, what do they pick up? What are they maybe blind to? I think that's important to understand because we'll use a, classic off flavor like diacetyl, that buttered popcorn. I think, you talk about anyone's palate, a 22-year-old or, a 38-year-old or, a 7-year-old. I think everyone's had that buttered popcorn, right? So they probably know the flavor, but they don't necessarily know, what it is in terms of the chemical itself. So from a sensory training standpoint, I think it's a lot of it is just categorization within our head and it's exposure. So, it can be difficult to explain to that, whether it's to a base consumer or it's, our team running blind sensory on a, smelling basically whole cone hops. It's all very similar in that it's teaching people that if they smell X, it is Y, at least in terms of how they interpret it, and then getting on the same page when it comes to terminology. So, um, what Jerry was mentioning with is basically our sensory lexicon and working with essential oils to showcase to people that when we mention say citrus, we'll have an essential oil that is a blend of a lot of citrus fruits, so that it's a broad citrus, but we will also have an orange um, essential oil, and we will have a lemon essential oil, and so on and so forth. So a lot of it's just important to kind of make sure that, especially if you're internally as a brewery, as a brewing team, it's important to have the team speaking the same language. Because again, as Jerry mentioned, when we were sitting next to each other at Alpha King, it can be tough, right? In what maybe my experience or my palate picks up as a specific flavor, maybe picked up as a slightly different flavor. And on top of that, I mean, the power of persuasion is real, So, if you tell someone, oh, this tastes like mango, well, A, has that person had mango? B, is it now all of a sudden are they tasting mango because you told them that something tasted like mango, right? So, um, it gets to that point, but no, it's important. I mean, from a true sensory training piece and where we like to work with people, we work with official essential oils, make sure that everyone's dialed in and talking the same language. But then from there, I think a lot of the fun part is and really just explaining to you made a great point, Jimmy, about multi generations coming in here and everyone doesn't have the same experiences. I think it's important to you know tell people that they taste things every day, and they're whether it's through food or beverage, they're constantly tasting things, and it's just a matter of can they pick that up, within something that they like, and can they apply it to something that they like. Even then, like often with like pine or resin, like some of these more traditional hop flavor profiles as well, someone might hear that if they've never been introduced to a positive version of that flavor profile and may say, why would I ever want to drink something that's pine? But in actuality, if you can do it in a high, high quality beer and it provides a very, very pleasant, um, characteristic experience and mouthfeel, it's, they can potentially have a positive experience when they, you know, recognize moving forward that pine.
Yeah. Hey, let's there's that movie Miracle on 34th Street, and the Santa started telling everyone else where they could buy these items, instead of talking about Macy's. I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to go off script, and since we're talking about centennials and you know, for each of you, think of some of the great or noted IPAs that that are made with centennials or used to be, so that again, some of our listeners could go out and try them. Imagine someone's going to do a centennial introductory IPA tasting.
Oh, geez, I think the obvious one to me is Bell's. I mean, they make Two Hearted Ale, I think, is a single hop Centennial to the best of my knowledge, or it used to be. Might be one of the best selling craft beers of all time. I'd have to go back and check some numbers on that, but it's a very, very popular representation. Like I said, don't quote me on that, but James, you might back me up here. To the best of my knowledge, that's a single hop IPA.
Yeah, that's honestly when this question came down, I almost jumped in and said, "Let me go first so I can claim Two Hearted," because I do think Two Hearted is kind of I think in my opinion, it is that classic, centennial American beer. That's definitely the go-to that I always go to. Sticking up in Michigan, I mean, Founders Centennial IPA is another classic that is really just a fantastic example. Sierra Nevada, I mean, Celebration for many years. It's not 100% Centennial, but is a great showcase of Centennial hops. And I mean, it's hard to go wrong with Sierra Celebration. So honestly, I mean, I would say those are definitely some of the primary. But even then, I mean, if people are interested, I would also just say, I mean, so many of these breweries, their websites are great. Like you can look up, especially for year-round beers, like you can click into descriptions and find out what ingredients these breweries are putting in. So especially drinking fresh, supporting your local guys. It's look up your favorite brewery's website, see if they have on their beer, the beer section of their website, see if they list out their ingredients, and kind of identify which ones are potentially have some Centennial, and ask about it. So I'd say, I mean, honestly, yeah, Two Heart is the big one, Celebration's another one, Founders Centennials is always up there.
Yeah, actually, we interviewed Bells last week, and
Uh,
we were talking about it too. It's probably why it's
There you
on the
go.
top of my head. Lone Tree, Cherry. So the community, you mentioned it. You're in Lone Tree, and now you're also in Parker, in
yes.
Colorado. I want you to I'm going to rephrase what you said. You basically said that the breweries are important to a community, and you want to elaborate on that, because it makes the most sense to me that a brewery is local, and it's a place to go. It's beer, but it's like a third space.
No, yeah, it's I've got so many examples over the years of uh, how people congregate here and use this tasting room here in Lone Tree, and then now the new one in Parker as such a safe space to enjoy to go through all of life's events. We've had wedding receptions, actual weddings, baby showers, funeral receptions, celebrations of life. We've had literally every type of event in our space, and people all want to be around beer when it happens. So to me, that's that's a sign that I probably picked a good profession, because I think it's important that we really honor the people that come here and support us and have kept us going for 14 years, which is not, I think, not a small victory. I mean, that's a big victory these days, I think. So, yeah, I mean, to give an example, we have a couple that's been here since day one, and they didn't even have kids when the brewery first opened. Now they have kids that are teenagers, and they drink double IPA every single time they come in. That's all they drink. And I told them I would, after 11, 12 years, I would like to tweak the double IPA a little bit. I thought it needed some love, and I said I want you all to be a part of this, and not that I needed their permission or I needed them to sign off on it, but I really wanted it, because I said, you guys are the ones that drink this every week, so I want you to be a very vital and very vocal participant in the experimentation of it. So really, we changed the grain bill a little bit. We took out some crystal malt that I've wanted to for a long time, and they hated it. So we stopped doing it. We went back and we made it more traditional to the way we've always made it. And it honestly brought a tear to their eye that we thought that much about their opinion to people, that we were able to involve them in the process. And yeah, I think it meant a lot to them. And, that's just good practice. That's good business for us to make sure we brew what our customers want too. It's not just about what the brewers want. We have to do what the customers and the community have put their faith in us to do. So I think that's, like I said, I've got a lot of examples, but that one in particular still stands out. That we just veered off a little bit from a traditional recipe, and we kind of we took some flack for it. So I learned my lesson a little bit, but not to say that we can't keep experimenting.
Oh, that's great. And James, you want to give any special shout outs to Lone Tree? I mean, I'm sure. How many different breweries do you work with?
Oh man, hundreds. So yeah, I mean it's probably a little over 200 all in terms of like the really close kind of regular um communication. But honestly, it's gosh, I mean it's in the high 200s with I'm lucky though. I have some great brewing states. So I mean even then alone it's yeah, there's a boatload. So um yeah, I mean, in terms of Lone Tree, it's I think the conversation around community is massive, right? It's they provide that third space, they provide a comfortable area for people to come, be themselves, relax and enjoy some great liquids. So I mean, when you go to that Lone Tree location, like the main production facility and brewery, it's you know yeah, there's the regulars sitting at the bars, there's the multiple rooms so you can kind of have special gatherings or you know um it just seems like such a group friendly spot, and I think ultimately that's what we're really lucky to have in beer, because it is specifically a low ABV alcoholic beverage that brings people together, sparks conversation, is easy to pace yourself and be sessionable. And then, I mean, Jerry mentioned at the beginning, it's, they do a great job of having a diverse range of styles. If you go there every day and you drink that double IPA, or you could go there every day and drink Mexican lager, you can go there every day and drink sour beers. It really just kind of depends on whatever you want to do. Or you can honestly go there every week and try a different beer for the most part, so it's, no, I think it's, yeah, they fulfill a very important communal um responsibility as a gathering point. And that's also where I'll shout out Colorado. I think Colorado is one of the states that does that extremely well with their history in American craft beer and how much breweries are a part of the culture there. I think that's heck, it's almost more European than anything else. It's just the local gathering spot.
Great place, great state. There's a question about hops. So, James, I don't know, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, I met some hop scientists, and back then it seemed like they were chasing the ancient hops, whether it was in a mountaintop in Four Corners somewhere, or finding a hop left over from in somebody's heirloom somewhere. It sounds like have we discovered all the old hops that we have? Is that still a focus of researchers?
Yeah, it's still around. I mean, the funny thing is it's a promiscuous weed, and a pernicious weed, as the saying goes. So, it'll hops are rowdy plants. If they want to be somewhere, they'll try to be there. We have to train them specifically, to do what we want them to do to be a production crop. So, honestly, I mean, they're pretty easy to breed. I mean, there's a big reason that we are very very particular about eliminating males in our acreage, because it's very easy for a new a new hop to naturally spring up. So, if someone stumbles across a new hop, whether it's in the mountains of New Mexico, or something left over in a ditch in New York State, or something found in a ditch at a brew lot, or Loza Farms, it's there's always going to be new ones out there, whether we want them to be or not. And if they're old and historic, they might be. They may have sprung up a couple of years ago and are starting something new. So hop breeding's it's fun. It's a game of failure. So you're really just trying to hit a success in every one in a million from a commercial standpoint, but from new varieties and finding new varieties, and again, be that historical or just something fun that popped up in that ditch behind your house. They're there, and there's always more to find. There's always more to look for.
Yeah. Hey, Jerry, any questions you want to ask James? Sometimes I'm sure you guys in the sales call have things you talk about.
Oh, I bug him probably too much. We've James has been great, and all the people over at Yakima. I mean, it's an impressive operation that they run, and it was great to see it firsthand. But no, James and I have been in contact. He's helped us kind of revamp our house flagship IPA. So we've been discussing what some good combinations for that might be to kind of keep in with the theme that I mentioned early on in the show today, was kind of bridge the old school with some new school as well, and try to keep both worlds connected. Because a lot of great breweries out there can do a lot with Mosaic, Citra, Simcoe, and it's a great time to still be a brewer, of course. But what we really wanted to do was try to find a certain blend of varieties, specifically for our house IPA, that kind of made it stand out and put us apart a little bit more from that. So yeah, I bugged the hell out of James, and he's very gracious to put up with us. And we definitely are not the coolest kid in the hop world. We know that, but we're always trying to get better.
And James, any questions you have for Jerry?
No, honestly, I appreciate the kind words, and it's never it's never a hassle. It's never being bugged. So it's I'm lucky. It's I'm lucky to be a hop sales rep. I'm very lucky to be a hop sales rep for YCH. There's not a ton of us in the world, and one of the things that whether it's telling my wife or telling my friends that I'm lucky to do, is I just help to make everyone make the best beer that they possibly can, and that's ultimately, I'm amazed at the quality of what people are able to put out on a regular basis, the creativity, the drive, the consistency, and the passion. So no, I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. And yeah, Jerry will bug me for something later, I'm sure.
Well, listen, thanks for making a great beer. I really enjoyed that beer, and I'm having Hoppy Dreams about it. I, like you, James, I only got one can, and that I drank that right away. So send me your beers, because I probably didn't do too many shows about hops for the last couple of years. It goes in waves, and seemed like the craft malt scene, between craft malt conference and all the cool maltsters we were meeting, really took a lot of our focus. But I'd like to talk more about hops, because I feel like, especially for new drinkers, it's a great way to really experience, what beer can be. And I remember when I first had to talk about just a few memories, and I think part of it is how to drink. It's like, if I've been out, whether I'm working or I've been exercising or I'm traveling, and you've got that kind of thirst, but you've also got like a pit in your stomach because you really need to hydrate. I feel like a lager, like your Mexican lager, would be something I would go to if I walked in. But like the good IPA at 7%, I mean, it should drink as easy as yours does. 7% isn't really that strong. And I try to compare it with people. I say, your typical wine is 12 or 13%. So if you're quaffing a glass of white wine, you're actually, it's 7% is not that strong. And then I think about what am I going to drink on a Friday night, and I used to always end my nights with Belgian quads, or more likely if I'm at a party, or I will drink a double IPA. So I think it's good to talk about how people drink, and glad we got a chance to talk about it. But so right now, Centennial Hat Trick, you're going to raise your glasses, and you're going to say it was a great collab, and thanks for teaching me about it. And this Hyper Boost, I have a feeling we're going to hear more about this, because it was like a Centennial Hat Trick. That means three hops, and I was like, I don't understand what it's going to be, but it sounds like you guys are getting more efficient, right?
Yeah, we're definitely trying.
That's the fun thing, right? It's not just new varieties, it's new tools in the toolbox for
Yeah.
brewers to play with. So it's Hyperboost is a fun new one. It makes great beer. Yeah, it's a good one. Touch base with any of your YCH folks or your fellow brewers.
Yeah. And Jerry, last one. You came out with a type of hop and hemp water.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's we call that one euphoric. So obviously, there's a big movement in the non-alcoholic space, as especially over the last 3 to 4 years, and this was euphoric was kind of our answer or our nod to the NA space. We don't really have the resources to do non-alcoholic beer the correct way, so we don't ever want to do something that's that we're not fully committed to. So the euphoric is a hop and a hemp terpene product. So hops, hemp, cannabis, they all kind of share the same genetics, if you want to call it that. And so I was trying to find a beer like characteristic in the hop terpene and the hemp terpene, specifically myrcene, caryophyllene, beta caryophyllene, that kind of gives you a piney resinous IPA like experience, but in a non-alcoholic format. So we don't sell a lot of it, but it's there, and when people try it, I think they appreciate it. So that was kind of our answer to that space.
That's great. Well, listen, it's been a great show. Jerry and James, thanks for joining me here on Heritage Radio Network. Shout out to our engineer, George Mayada. Thanks for working with us, and we'll catch you next time on Beer Sessions Radio. All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you all.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.